So I want to give you guys a phrase, and I want to take a moment, and I really want to talk to those relationships right now that might be in that space to whereas you're trying to figure out which direction you're going to go in, right? Things aren't looking too good. You got a couple of challenges and you're upset or you're at your wit's end, right? And so there is a phrase that I want you to Google: negative sentiment override. And so what is that? So you're in a relationship and you maybe there's the trust was hurt, maybe there was something that there is a consistency of bad behavior that might have come from your significant other, and so now you're in a crossroads, and so maybe that person might be trying to improve, maybe you guys are working together to improve in your relationship, but every time that the person might say something to you or that they do something, your default becomes, this is a negative situation, or that the person doesn't mean good, or that they're only going to do it for a limited time. They're not going to be consistent or whatever.
Right.
And so when you ask that question of, how impactful something like that is, because the person might really be trying to improve and to turn a corner. Yes, the unfortunate habit was created. They did what they did. They were wrong for what they do. There's nothing good about what they did. But now they are doing something to take you guys down a path that's going to be more beneficial and benevolent and bring the relationship together. But now you're not giving that person that level of grace that's necessary to navigate through that. And so you remain in the negative space. Therefore, even though that person is kicking and screaming under the water, you're just kind of like just gliding along like, okay, well, you know what, that person, it looks like that person isn't really doing anything, even though underneath they are working as hard as they can to stay above the surface and move along. And so, when you ask that question, that's the number one thing that pops out. And that's one of the things that I talk about with couples when they, because when people come to me, it's fourth quarter and it's 2 minutes left in the relationship game. Okay. And you're down by 3 touchdowns. Now, and neither one of you are Tom Brady, right? So could you win that game? Well, Brady has shown us that it's something that's possible, right? But most people are not going to win that game, right? So that's when so you already don't even know what to do, and then by the time you get to me, it's kind of like, oh my gosh, and between one or the other, the man or the woman, that's normally something that's sitting there, negative sentiment. You're not giving the person the grace to turn the corner, right? And so, and you keep feeding, the person does something nice and you're like, yeah, you liked it. They only gonna do that for like a week or two, and then they're gonna go back to how they used to be, right? Or they're only doing that just to get in my good graces. Maybe you think that they want to be physically intimate with you. That's why that they're being nice to you tonight or whatever. You can't just say this person's trying to relearn how to love me. This person is trying and getting it wrong. And particularly for anybody, when they are redoing a habit, they're gonna get it wrong, right? But if the override is not there, if the positive override is not there, and you're allowing the negative override to be there, the person literally does not stand a chance.
Yeah. Well, that example is perfect, because what you described, what I heard was negative self-talk. You have predetermined. It's the analogy I use sometimes on the podcast when I say, if you predetermine before you go to a therapist that the therapist can't help me, you might as well not go.
Yes, sir.
Because you've already made the determination. You've created it.
Yep.
If you haven't allowed the space, and Elam is saying grace, it doesn't matter. It's the same thing. If you haven't allowed the space for change, for better, if you haven't accepted glass half full versus glass half empty, you're going to get what you expect. Hey, how do I know? The law of expectation. We talked about this. That's why I said to go back to the other podcast. What does the law say? The law of expectation asserts that what you expect to happen often does.
Yep.
As your expectations can influence your actions and decisions. What does the law mean? How does it work? It serves as a self-fulfilling prophecy. It impacts your behavior and ultimately the outcome. This is science. This is not my opinion. The law of expectation